Hey everybody, just wanted to make some, a quick short video tonight with work and travel and everything. I just don't have time to get around to the project on the Master here, but I wanted to make a short little video, more commentary about what the plan is for that. You can see by the window over there, it's dark. Just haven't had time to get around to even being in the garage here to do anything to it. But in any case, I just wanted to make something in reply to some comments. I do appreciate the people who are, providing some constructive thoughts because it does help. And I'll go through some of the thought process I had for doing this. Like I said, this is a hobby for me. I'm not a body guy. I'm not a mechanic. I'm self-taught pretty much everything that I'm doing out here. I did do a rat rod before, and I can show some pictures and video of that here after talking about the Master for a little bit. Gonna go through some reasons why I did the things that I did as far as the chop, why I laid the lines out where I did, and the problems that are going to be apparent here shortly. But if anybody has any more suggestions or thoughts on kind of what the plan is, I do appreciate it. I'm happy to learn. I'm here to kind of figure this out as I go, but there's a lot of people out there who've done a lot more than these than I have. And, I'm just kind of a learning process as I go. So, I'll kind of show you some videos of the car, some videos of the truck that I did, and we'll go from there. Thanks for coming back. Well, you can see that here's the Master. Hasn't been touched since the end of the last video, but I figured before getting into that, I'd show you what we have over here. This is a 1946 Chevy pickup that I bought off Craigslist. It was a nasty colored blue with a yellow bed, and kind of wanted to do a Frankenstein kind of rat rod look with it. So this is what I ended up with. I think it turned out pretty cool. It was my first try, but I really liked kind of the Frankenstein look with the stitching on the welds. So you can see what I did here when I chopped it. This was a 3-inch chop. And when that happens, of course, the roof needs to get longer to fill in the distance between the A pillar and the B pillar. So I did splice that in there, and I filled the gap, and instead of doing butt welding, I just wanted to do the Frankenstein look. So you can see what we did there. I think it turned out all right. And then on the back here, I did build this in 2020, if you could tell. But in any case, when I did the chop, here's my 3 inches. And then after I cut it out, I thought, you know what? Instead of trying to weld all the way across and then trying to fill it in, after I took that 3-inch segment out, I just decided to lay it on the back there and go all the way across. And 11 billion welds later, we got that. I think it adds to kind of the Frankenstein look. I added some patch panels in, where needed. It sits pretty cool the way it is. I like it. Got some headers at Carlisle, Ferguson tractor hood, all sorts of bits and pieces that were finds on the internet. Flea market, there's a great flea market by me. Motorcycle mirrors, some bomber seats, diamond plate floor, pretty simple stuff, nothing fancy, but it runs all right. Fabricated an entire bed for it because there was nothing on the inside. Fabricated a box there that holds the fuel cell and the battery, stoplight from an old bus or something like that, tail lights from a Impala, I was told, Craigslist, Krager SS's for the wheels, and then just a pretty cool look overall. In any case, that was my one experiment with rat rod building before. You can tell that's a lot different than this. So here are some of the dilemmas. First off, you can see the A pillar here. It actually lines up pretty decent when we're looking from front to back here. There is a little gap there. That's because the back is still sitting up a little bit high, just held together with a vice grip, but it does line up pretty good. I took off the drip rail that was here, and I think I am going to eliminate the entire drip rail anyways. So here's where the problems start. When you drop the lid, obviously, the roof has to go forward so that the A pillars line up over there. Well, when you line up the B pillar here, what you can see has happened, as would be expected, the B pillar goes forward. And here, we're looking at just over 2 inches to fill in that gap, which really isn't a problem. There were a couple suggestions. Of course, you can cut out the entire thing here and just move the pillar back, but it's a 4-door, so we've got the C-pillar back here. The issue that happened when I dropped this is, you can see here, that distance is actually over 3 inches. So I thought, just like on the rat rod over there, what I could do would be to put a slice into the roof and move the entire thing back. But there's a compound curve on there. That's a little bit more work than I really think I have the skill to do. So my thought originally was, as I said in the last video, make a cut here and then all the way across above the drip rail, all the way down there. And then I could move the whole thing back, which I thought would be awesome, except for the dimension that I just showed you, in that this distance is different than this distance. So I really couldn't just split the roof in one area up here, because then my B and C pillars wouldn't line up. So I would end up needing to make a cut here, line the B pillar up, make a cut here, and line the C pillar up. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make the cut here, and I am going to go all the way past the C pillar, and then I'll just cut it here again so that I can line the C pillar up. That will leave a gap here that needs to be filled and a small gap here that needs to be filled. Now I had thought about trying to get into this little space right under the drip rail and go along there. Or I had thought about going right through the drip rail itself. If I'm going to eliminate that, might as well make the cut through it. But there is an awful lot of stuff that happens on the inside of that drip rail. So my battery's dying on the DeWalt over there, apologize for that. But in any case, if you look at the structure there, if I make a cut through the roof, I just have one piece of sheet metal to weld and then fill in the gap behind the B pillar and the C pillar. If I go through the drip rail, there's an awful lot of stuff to cut through, and I don't even know how I would weld that back together. So I really like the idea of making a cut above the drip rail here. I can then fill in my little gap here to make up that distance, and fill in a little gap here to make up that distance. Also, if we look at it from this direction, you can see, as I said, the A pillar's lined up pretty good there. If we come back here to the B pillar, I'm going to need to lean that out a little bit, about an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch there. And then if we come all the way back here to the C pillar, you can see on that, bad angle there, you can see we've got to come out even a little bit further. So if I make the cut in the roof above the drip rail, I can move that whole thing over. I can angle it a little bit, and I'm probably also going to need to take a little bit of a wedge out in the B pillar and C pillar so that I can kind of angle it. There's not a ton, but that's also something that happens when you look at these cars that are a little bit of a bubble top. You can see as you look down the edge of it how it does narrow in the roof line. So I knew there would be a lot more cutting. I'm not afraid of doing the cutting. It's the kind of figuring out the puzzle to put it back together that's tough. So if we go all the way to the back here, yep, there's that too. So I'll put a link in the description. There was a very good article in Motor Trend a few years ago, and it was about doing a chop on a 37. It was a 2-door, of course, not a 4-door. But my inspiration for doing this kind of cut is that what they did is a number of relief cuts, maybe 5 or 6, through the metal here on this edge and that, and basically you fold this forward slowly, you fold that up slowly, and then you kind of meet in the middle and you make up that distance. Somebody made the comment about, trying to cut all the way along the belt line there and then lean this whole section forward. Haven't ruled out that possibility, but there is a little bit of kind of construction in there and some residual support, which of course I can sacrifice just to lean that forward. But in any case, that's kind of where it sits right now. As I said, haven't even had a chance to touch it. Just one of those things, life goes on. Don't have time to really work on the projects that you want to. So in any case, that's kind of the summary of the situation right at the moment. I'm probably going to get around to working on this again late at night, probably during the week here sometime. So I'll keep you posted. I did get some parts in the mail and got little bits and pieces here and there to add on to the vehicle. So should be pretty cool, I think. So I really appreciate everybody who's making comments, because it does help when you're building something like this and you have no idea what you're doing. So anyways, thanks for coming back, checking out the video. More work ahead. Sorry, tonight was mostly just looking at the car and talking about things, but I do appreciate everybody coming back. And if you got comments, I really appreciate the input, and we'll catch you on next time.